Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Syracusa, and Phil Syracusa. We're broadcasting live from the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are also live on Roku, so you can watch us live from your TV. We're fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate and chat. Go to YouTube, UFO Paranormal Radio. You can go to all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Twitch, SoundCloud, Podbeam, and of course, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. And if you have any questions for our guests, please ask. So tonight, guys, we have another amazing guest. Please welcome to the show, John Gomes. John is a paranormal investigator and has been interested in the paranormal since a very young age. He has been a part of 2 paranormal teams and is now working on a YouTube show called Face Your Fears. He's currently working on a few projects as well as a book and a podcast. He's also worked on some very extreme cases involving demonic forces. He was also featured on a national TV show called The Haunted that was featured on the Animal Planet. So let's welcome him to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on tonight. So, John, take us to the beginning of your story. What paranormal experience did you have as a child that may have driven you to all the research that you've done in the paranormal?
So, about say early 90s, I'm about 10 years old, I had three interesting encounters. The first one was I was sleeping in bed, and it was a thunderstorm night, and something woke me up. I wasn't sure it was the thunderstorm. And then when I woke up, there was a blue apparition sitting in my doorway, peeking around the corner, and then he disappears. So, being a little child, I'm thinking, was it a dream? Was it thunder? So that was my first encounter. A couple of weeks later, I woke up middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and as I was walking down the hallway, and the wall was this shadow apparition with glowing white eyes. And, I'm walking, I'm a little kid, and I'm like, what the heck is this thing? And then, so I asked it, who are you? Suddenly it just disappeared. So I'm thinking, being 9 years old, 10 years old, it's my imagination or what it could be. But then I started watching shows like that, sightings at a time, and it got my interest in the paranormal. So another time was when I was playing in the backyard with my friends late at night, and we just happened to look up in the sky, and there was this red object gliding, and it just kept no noise and just kept flying away, flickering, and it just disappeared. And I was like, okay, this is weird, and that's what started my peeking into the interest in the paranormal stuff. I wanted to learn more about the stuff I encountered, but being young, I just could only do so much. So as I got a little bit older, I started getting into my teens. I met friends that also had interest in the paranormal, so we started doing ghost seeking stuff. We started doing cemeteries, abandoned houses, and just fueled up our energy to get involved more in this stuff. Learn about the stuff, with the ghosts and stuff like that. So we encountered a couple of things, seeing shadow people and cemeteries and stuff, and just kind of freaked us out, but it was a cool experience. So this was something that I had interest in. So as I grew up more and more, I continued watching shows, just learning about it, until I was able, into my early 20s, now I'm able to do something like this. So I started doing researching. I started taking classes. I met Keith and Carl Johnson, and they were in libraries, so I started learning more about the paranormal with them. And then when TAPS came on, knowing that TAPS, like, it's a team that investigates the paranormal, I want to do that. So I eventually looked around Rhode Island, that's where I'm from, and I founded a team called Haunted Paranormal Research Society, HPRS, which was led by former attack member Brian Bell and Blood Prater. So I applied with that group, and I got in, and we started doing paranormal stuff. We investigated a couple of things. We did Lizzie Borden's house. We did a couple other big places, and from there, it's something that made me happy. Like, oh, this is what I knew. This is what I wanted to do, and we had a great time doing it. So I was with that group for 2 years, and obviously we disbanded because of drama and stuff. So I joined my second team, which was called Taunton Paranormal Group, TPG, which was based in Taunton, Massachusetts, led by Rob Jacobs and Lou Turito. And once again, I had my experience for my first group. This was a more serious group, and working with them, we found out that there was more forces involved. They dealt with the demonics, which was interesting cases, and this was amazing. So we've done a lot of demonics, worked with Father Bob Bailey, and helped cleanse out some of these houses. But then there's been times where, most of our team members were attacked, including myself. There's a video on YouTube which you can find on that. So we were with that group for about 2 years, and once again, that group disbanded. And unfortunately, within that time span, I lost both my parents, so I wanted some time off for a little bit. I got 2 kids with special needs. It was kind of tough on me. Yeah. So I think I was off from paranormal about 2 years, and then my good friend Carl Ways, who's been with me since Haunted, wanted to start a team together. So we created Fears, and I wanted Fears to be something different. I wanted Fears to be not only with ghosts, but all the stuff that I've enjoyed doing, ghosts, UFOs, aliens, Bigfoots, cryptids, and around, we do have all that kind of stuff around here. So we started the team, and we got involved, and we had some great cases. And once again, unfortunately, about 2 years, we just had to disband. And since then, I took some time off once again. I had a lot of personal stuff going on. And I just took a break from paranormal for a couple of years now. But now that I decided to get back into the field, something that, something I love doing, and I wanted to get back into it. So I decided to do, a YouTube show, which is going to document shows on Rhode Island first, and then when it spread to Massachusetts, and then shows get popular, maybe spread out into the areas, So once again, documenting historic haunted locations of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and all things paranormal: ghosts, UFOs, aliens, Bigfoots, cryptids. We have a lot of great things around here that happens, So that was my focus. So that's been my big project. I'm currently getting back into it. It's not full force yet, but I am working on it, and that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it kind of like draws you in. It's like once you're part of the paranormal, it's kind of like you could take years off, for personal reasons, but you always end up going back in.
Yes, because I missed it. I miss going out there, experiencing this stuff. And like I said, I had a lot of great experiences, regardless of it's being touched by a ghost, catching EVPs, and unfortunately being scratched, being attacked by a demonic force. This is stuff that I'm here to do. I'm here to prove these things exist. I come in, when I investigate, I come in as a skeptic, but my goal is to help these clients that these things do exist, and that there's something going on. And my goal is to get answers and to help these clients out, and that's just been a part of me for a long, long time, ever since I was little. It's been sticking with me. And the only sad thing is that, unfortunately, my partner in crime, Carl Ways, he passed away last November. So, hoping this was a project for me and him. But with that said, I'm still going to carry this on, in his memory. I'm still going to go on with the show and just go out and just, bring this stuff to people. That'll be people that enjoy this stuff and go out and just bring this good stuff and just honor his memory. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. Did you ever find out what was actually haunting your childhood home?
I never really found out. We never really had that much activities going on. So I usually go back, like now, I'm not sure if the same guy that owns it still owns it, because he's, it's been a long time. It's been over 30 plus years. But I'm kind of eager now with the knowledge I have to go back to see if anything been going on there. But it was kind of those two experiences. And then as I was growing up, I stayed there till early '92, and then I left. We moved out of the house, and we moved into my grandfather's house. But yeah, I never really found out if it was just a one-time thing, or if it was a dream, or if it was something that haunted. I asked my parents about it before. They never really wanted to talk about it, if anything happened about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I never really knew what was going on in that house.
Wow.
Interesting. And a lot of people that we talk to, a lot of guests, they say it happens through adolescence where they're visited by something.
Yeah.
And
That's why I hear, like, it's something with I call him the man in blue, because he was like a blue glowing figure. And I wasn't sure if it was a dream or if it was something like a thunderstorm, because that's what woke me up. I just happened to wake up, and then I looked in my doorway, and there's this guy standing in the doorway, peeking around, and then he just fades away. So that was weird, But it wasn't like, sometimes you get a connection, like if I know somebody watching over me, if it's somebody from my relatives. But this person I never really seen. But once again, I'm 9 years old, so I'm not really sure what's going on at the time. I could be anything, been a dream or something. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. It's hard to decipher at a young age what you're dealing with. I had similar experiences. The shadow person you had mentioned, what do you think a shadow person is?
For my view right now, I'm thinking, if they're like different beings with the different dimensions, or they're beings stuck in this world, not so much poltergeist, because sometimes you get like a weird feeling from them, like you get like sense of dread from them. So I've heard all things about them. They could be people from different dimensions, or people from, it could be anything with them. My view on them is just like there's some type of beings, like, but sometimes I never really feel threatened with them. It's just like, like an eerie feeling with them, but nothing major with them. But I'm not really too sure what it could be, because like I said, I heard everything with them. So it's just yeah, it's just a weird
It's a
feeling with
big
them.
question mark of what it is. What kind of equipment do you like to use when you're investigating?
Obviously my camera, my Nikon camera.
Mhm.
I got my digital recorders, but I also like my EMF reader. I got my K2 meter, because I love using things like that, because like when I'm asking questions, the lights light up, and then I go around, make sure it's nothing electrical, and there's some places that I've been to that I'm in the middle of the cemetery, there's something electrical, and then my K2's like going nuts.
Yeah.
So, but definitely my camera, my Nikon camera, which I caught some amazing pictures. I got a lot of amazing apparition pictures. Eventually, when I get a chance, I'll share with you guys, because it's some great catches.
Yeah. We have a lot of people in chat.
Oh,
Virgil.
cool.
Yeah. Virgil. Let me see. Actually, it's just okay. He says, "Hey, from England. Could have been thunder. Well, I guess the moon. He just wondering when you will. When? Wait, what? When will you block me? Okay. Well, I don't know who. I don't know who blocked you. Anyway.
Well, it sounds like a skeptic, and to a skeptic, what I would say is thunder and lightning create paranormal phenomenon, and unless you have an open mind to observe and see what's going on out there in a different realm and a different spectrum of reality, it's hard to understand what we talk about during paranormal investigations and encounters with spirits from the other side, demons, aliens, ghosts. These things do exist, period. Now, I don't say that because I listen to anybody. I say that because I've had hands-on experience. When A toy goes on and off by itself without batteries, but yet you need to put batteries in it. Unless you can give me a logical explanation, it's paranormal. Unless you can give a logical explanation on apparitions caught on film, not optical illusions or matrixing, but an actual apparition, can't debunk that. You can look at 100 different ways. And then the digital recorders, when you're capturing voices from the other side. And I'm not talking about a spirit box. I'm talking about a regular digital recorder. You ask a question, you pause, and you get a response. That's paranormal activity. There is no scientific explanation for these things. Therefore, people like myself and our guest tonight and my wife and all the researchers out there do their due diligence to prove to the world that paranormal phenomenon does exist, which I'm going to get into this topic too now. You know, for years, the world has been divided about aliens and UFOs. People would say, I've heard the most stupidest things. They're demons flying spaceships. Stupid.
Yep.
It's an optical illusion. No, it's not. It's not real. It's your imagination. No, it's not. Today, in the last few years, NASA has come forward and now they're revealing footage. And then people would say, well, it's an adversary. It's Russia or China. Let me tell you to the listener out there that if that's Russia or China, and they go back 60 years ago that they could do that because those were the sightings we caught as well, then we'd have a problem here as a country. We have a serious problem. But the fact is, it's not them. No laws of physics can explain what's going on. Therefore, it is my belief, and hundreds of thousands of others around the entire world who need to be taken seriously, that we are not alone. And yet, it will affect those people who have faith in their belief of certain types of religion, thinking that we are the only man on earth. And that is not true. When you really think about it, we're on a little rock in the middle of nowhere. That's all we are. So the possibilities are endless to what we do and what we exist with, and paranormal activity. Having said that, I've also had an alien experience back years ago, but so has our guest tonight. So let's dig into a UFO experience that you've had.
My favorite one, I gotta say, well, it was about 5 years ago. As I was driving to work about 4:30 in the morning, I was on the way to get my friend, and so it's a quiet back road, woods and stuff like that. So I was driving up a road, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this huge, and I gotta say, it had to be about a football shape size. This thing was humongous. Comes gliding out from nowhere, turns, and I shout out, "What the heck is that thing?" So I try to find a spot to pull over, and when I finally do, I catch the tail end of the object, and it just disappears in the tree line. But this thing was really huge. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
And the way it was moving, it was like multiple lights, but some lights were going up and down, but it was flying as a unit. So it had to be some type of giant ship, or either that, or at least 10 lights moving together. And the way they were flying was amazing. But unfortunately, I didn't have a dashboard camera, and I had a camera on me, and by the time I went to pull over, take a picture of it, it was gone. But that was the most incredible sighting I have ever seen so far to my UFO days. And I've seen other weird things, and some of the things I was able to debunk it as drones and stuff, but this thing was incredible. It's so huge, and it's just incredible. It's just like, what the heck? It came out from nowhere, and then just, so that was my favorite sighting so far with my UFO.
And you've had more than one.
I had more than one. Like I said, when I was my early 10 years old, I saw that red object, and it was a cube that had a little black center in it. Me and my friends were in the backyard. It was like 8 o'clock at night. We just playing in the backyard, and I just happened to look up, and this thing comes in quiet, no noise. It comes in, does a sharp turn, it's flickering, and just flies off flickering, and that was weird. I've also seen what appeared to be two starlike objects, and they were heading towards each other. And I'm thinking they're planes, and they're gonna crash because they're flying right towards each other. And when it got to the point where they're supposed to crash, they did some type of weird dancing thing around each other, and then they kept on flying the same path they were going. So to the point where they're going to crash, they just danced around each other, and they kept on going. And there's been other sightings. I can't really remember most of them. But they all been weird lights, mostly at nighttime. I never really seen anything in the daytime where I could tell it's a saucer, or I could tell, even though somebody has seen a saucer around me before. I can't find out who did it. I would like to interview them and find out what they experienced. But most of my sightings have been at nighttime, and they've been weird lights and stuff. And it's just weird, And I know that these things ain't like planes and stuff. This is something out there. And I always said that, like Philip said, there's something out there. And UFOs are real obvious. And 98% of the time, yeah, there could be government planes or stuff, but there's still that 1% that it can be alien, And I always said that, just because I say it's UFO doesn't mean I'm not saying it's an alien spacecraft. It's something that I can't explain. And half these sightings I've seen, it's like things I can't explain, especially that giant ship. It's something I can't compare to it right now. What could be, had to be the size of a football field. That thing is humongous, and it's just, I can't explain it. So that was like one of the weirdest sightings, but yeah.
I've heard that story before by a police officer who was driving nighttime, and he said this thing was the size of a football field.
Yeah.
And it came down low, only a couple 100 feet away from him in height. And he said it was massive, massive. And when it took off, it was a blink of an eye how fast this thing goes. Now, these UFOs also can go into the water that fast. And then look at the release of the Pentagon today on Fox News, all over the news stations. From the airplane, you see the thing going by the opposite way at supersonic speeds that we can't even have. We don't have that. It's fascinating. There is another form of intelligence. And, it also leads to believe that people have abductions. They're not taken serious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason for that is that if the governments around the world were to come forward and say, we're not alone, there would be mass hysteria for the people who cannot accept it. And religion would be a big question mark, and faith. Because then it comes down to, if we coexist with another intelligent life, then who started us? It goes way back into a big question mark of, well, everything we were taught is a lie. So I think that's why they slowly leak this stuff out now on the news, and the Pentagon's coming out with the footage. But we shall see. I mean, it's real, and there's a lot of documented cases. People need to be taken serious, march up to the Capitol, and talk and demand answers. Back a few years ago, when everybody went to Area 51, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They were going by the thousands to Area 51, but they wouldn't let them through the gates. But if you go back to the 90s, they said verbatim, there is no Area 51. There's no such thing as an Area 51. And now they say, oh yeah, there is an Area 51. Yeah, we have our military craft there. So, you know how that plays out. But anyway, I could talk about UFOs all day, but more importantly, let's talk about some of the investigations that you've been to. Give us like a name of a location, what you've encountered, and did you leave home, did you go home with goosebumps and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So my favorite investigations. Downtown Pawtucket, we have a place called Slater Mill. It's a historic mill. It's 4 buildings, actually 3 buildings in the area, and then you got a bridge right next to it. So Slater Mill is a old mill, and back in the 1800s. And one of the things is the kids were subject to child labor. So the kids will use these machines. When they break down, they have the kids climb in the machines to fix it. And unfortunately, when the machines stop working, the kids get injured, or unfortunately, they get killed. And because it was small enough to fit inside the machines, they send the kids to do the repairs, which is sad, you know.
Oh,
So most of the reports there are children. In the basement, we got EVPs, and I've gotten EVPs of kids. One of the EVPs called my friend Daddy. You know, it was a child's voice. I said, Daddy. There's kids that run around in the area, and we got in clear EVPs. So that's one of my popular places here in Rhode Island. Other places, I've been to Lizzie Barton's house. I've experienced some things there. And we got a thing in Massachusetts. If you're familiar with Route 44, the Hockomock Swamp area, Bridgewater Triangle, and it connects everything. You have everything that happens in that area. And you got ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoots. And it's like the Bridgewater Triangle, it's like the Bermuda Triangle, but this area is known for paranormal stuff. And we're not sure why. We're still looking into it, why. So one of the famous haunts is it's a road called Route 44, and you got a guy called the Red-Headed Hitchhiker. And supposedly, when you're driving up this road, you see him walking the road, hitchhiking. He's a long guy, flannel vest, red hair. Even though I've never seen him, I've been looking for him for a couple of years. I still never seen him. He's about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You're supposed to count him. But supposedly, my friend did, my fellow investigator, he was driving. And as he was driving, the radio started acting up. And he looks up, and he's seen this guy standing there, long red hair. And he says, hey, I think that's a hitchhiker. He starts honking at him. The guy stops, turns around. His eyes turns into a fiery red light. Freaks him out. He drives down the road. And he's doing like 40 miles an hour. And this guy starts flying. And he's like flying. He's keeping pace with him. And it's freaking him out, my friend more. Like, he's like, what's going on? How is this possible? And I was saying the guy disappeared. And then you hear a laughter on the radio.
wow.
So, yeah, that was an amazing experience. But that wasn't me. That was my friend. But I've been looking for a while, but I haven't seen nothing. But the areas I've been around there, you have a place called Anawan Rock, where I heard it's mostly with Indians that were killed there. And you can hear the drummings. I've heard there's drummings there. Also from there, you have a cemetery, the Route 44 Cemetery, Hobbit Village Cemetery. And supposedly, it's an old guy that haunts there called Ephraim, Old Man Ephraim, that's what they call him. And so I took my friend there one day, and she's a psychic. And she's saying there's some kids here. She's never been there. So I said, where do you sense the kids from? And she said, they're over here. So we walked around, and we found the grave of the kids. There's 3 kids that were killed in a car crash, and they were buried there. And she sensed them, and she found them. And she's saying they're hiding from an old guy. There's a guy he picks out these other spirits, and he doesn't let them leave. So I told him, like, it's amazing that she found these kids, because I never knew about these kids, but she found it. She's never been there. And then she told me that they're afraid of this guy, which we know is Old Man Ephraim. Now, my group went there to investigate the cemetery. That was one of the first investigations I did with Tom Paranormal. And as we were walking, everybody was right behind us. So further ahead is a dark trail. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I see a glowing figure, like a hunchback old man walking. And he disappears into a bush. And I'm thinking it's one of the team members. And all of a sudden, from behind me, I see a flash of camera, like a camera. And I said, wait a minute, if the guys are over there, who was that over there? So we rushed to the bush, and we couldn't find nobody. And then it dawned on me that the guy was hunched over. That was the old man.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that was a good spot. And then I did some private residence, and we had some great experiences. Like there was a house in Lincoln, Rhode Island, that we did, and this is a demonic force. And as we were, investigating it, one of the active areas was the master bedroom, and we went up there. And throughout the building, kept hearing knocks and growls and stuff. So I got kind of annoyed, and I said to the spirit, "Hey, listen, I'm tired of these games. If you don't do knocks, do something more." And all of a sudden, it felt like it was claws digging into my eyes, and it was burning, and we had to leave the room. And so we left the room, got downstairs, washed my eyes out, and one of the co-founders were talking to me during the experience, and then supposedly we had an EVP that said, "That's what you get." And it was like a growling voice, and it was like creepy and stuff. And yeah, so that was some of my extreme investigations. But there's so many things that I've done that I experienced a lot of stuff. I got pictures and stuff, but those are most of the most private stuff that I really encountered and my favorites. There's still things out there I still want to check out. I'm a big fan of jails. So one day I hope to check out Eastern State Penitentiary, Alcatraz. I love hospitals. I love schools and stuff. We do have a school. It's in Exeter, Rhode Island, called the Lad School. But unfortunately, I think the building got torn down because there's so much vandalism going on there, and ghost hunters or thrill seekers that were going out there were being robbed. They were being robbed by these people hanging out there, by gangs, and unfortunately, because of that, they had to fence it up, and I think they tore down the building. But that was a great active place too. So, but yeah, there's so many places out there. I could name so many. Cumberland Library is another great place that I've been to and experienced a lot of things there. But it's just too much to listen. But those are my favorite ones.
Now,
wow.
the one that you said that happened to your eyes, was that the video that you showed me?
That was a video I sent you. That was yes, that was a video I sent you on YouTube. We have a show. My group had a show called Haunted Happenings. And we feature, it's a little stuff that we do on investigation. We had 2 shows that we do. We do investigation shows, we do evidence that we share, and then we do interviews like with other paranormal investigators. So this one was the house in Lincoln where I shared with you, where when you heard me call it out, and then prior to the attack, you heard a growl in the video. Like it was a growl, and then suddenly that's when I was attacked by the eye. My eye started burning for no reason, but yeah, that was the video that I did share was for that case. Yes,
that was a great video.
Yeah.
It really was. Yeah, so we have Mary is in chat, medium Sky Ray. We love her. Mary, we love you. So Sky Ray, yes, I've encountered similar experiences. Hopefully she released her and took care of him. Okay. Yeah, and she's talking about the kids.
Oh yeah, the kids from the cemetery. Yeah, because supposedly, I'm not sure. There's a couple of spirits in that cemetery, but this old man, like he doesn't let no spirit. Like some of the spirits want to cross over, and this guy, they're afraid of this guy. And I'm not sure his history is, but they're afraid of him. And I haven't been back since, but I'd like to go back one day. Like hopefully, if I do my show and stuff, that I'd like to go back there, find out what's been going on. But yeah, I'm hoping the kids were able to cross over because they wanted to cross over for my friend, but again, they were just afraid of this guy, And it's been a couple of houses that we did that, there were spirits that needed help crossing over, and we had Sickers come in, we had Father Bob come in, and we eventually helped them cross over. So, and it's an amazing feeling. Sometimes there was another demonic house that we did that it was like, tell it was the force, the energy in that room. It was like a tough case, and it was one time we actually had a crust on the wall, and the crust came flying off. But it was a 2-hour battle. But Father Bob did his thing, and we actually got rid of the demon. We blessed her house, we holy watered everything, and then after everything was gone, that you sense this peace, this calmness. That hey, we helped crush it out. We got rid of it, and it's a different energy. It's a and peaceful feeling.
I know that Phil always likes to ask this question, but where do you think they go? Like, right, Phil? You always ask that. Where do you think they go when you're crossing the evil, entities, cleaning the house, or getting it out?
I think that depends. I think that you should go back to where it came from, down there. But and what another great case that we had involved our paranormal founder Rob Jacobs, which led into the national TV show called the Animal Planet show, The Haunted. That show started off as a investigation of a store, and I think it was in Rehoboth or something. And they had a problem with the guy. They called the guy in the bike because he seen riding around in the bike, but there was other things going on there. So we did the investigation. Things happened. There was things flying off. We had a bucket fly off. And if you watch the show, I think the episode is called "The Demonic Seductress," and you should be able to see the story about thing. So what happened was, what we got a feeling was, after we did this investigation, we had one of the investigators bit, another one got scratched. Our leader, Rob Jacobs, was supposedly followed to his house. So we got rid of it from the store, and somehow it attached itself to the team leader, and it followed him to his house. Mm-hmm. Now you have things happening at his house.
Yeah.
So, he calls back, and then throughout the night, he had things happening. He had cries and growls, and he had things moving in his house. So we had to figure out what was going on, and they were thinking that this wasn't a normal demonic. It was a succubus, I think, and it was attaching itself to him. And we knew that we had to get him help. So once again, we had to get Father Bob, and we got involved. But what got us on the Animal Planet, because they had a dog, and the dog was acting weird, especially with them. Knew something wasn't right, and the dog kept barking. Yeah. And we knew that this wasn't, that whatever happened at the store followed them home. So sometimes I think that it can't, if you're not protected, it can't attach itself to you.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, I'm hoping that the bad spirits go back to where they come from. And then the good spirits, hopefully they go to heaven, or they cross over to the light and stuff. So that's my feeling towards what happens with them.
Yeah. Phil, what do you have to say about that?
I think it's interesting. I always ask, where do they go?
Mm-hmm.
Where do the entities go? Do they go to the neighbor's house?
They have to go somewhere.
and do they come back after they lay dormant? Again, go back to the Amityville horror case. What happened to the first two families, and the third and fourth, fifth, nothing happened. Yeah. And then another family was in, something does happen. So do they lay dormant for a period of time, and then they reactivate according to the family that is there as a trigger object, or during the paranormal investigation that entices that world to come alive? I noticed that also at our home, we have the Horsefly Chronicles home. Sometimes it'll be quiet. If I have a team come into the basement, within an hour, the shadows start to appear on the back wall. And I think I'm the only one seeing it, but then no, we see it. And they look like misty snake shadows casting up and down the wall. It's very weird. And I'm glad other people see it, but that happens when you're trying to communicate with it. That tells me that, okay, they're listening, they're intelligent. What is it exactly? Is it the negative entities that walk amongst us and they're just invisible? Sometimes I tend to believe that because of the negative effects of people getting oppressed, scratched, their eyes turn very dark, there's a sequence of things that happen during an investigation if the location has paranormal activity, where other teams can do the same house but have absolutely nothing. I've seen that as well. And then to me, it's like, well, which team is actually triggering it? And what are they actually doing? What kind of energy are they putting out?
Good point.
It's fascinating. There's a lot more questions than answers, but we do know that it's real. And we try to teach people not to provoke as well, because I can promise you, I don't care who you are on the face of this earth, you provoke something that you don't see, just because it's not going to get you there, it'll get you down the road on its watch, not yours. When you're married with a happy family, and all of a sudden that tractor trail's coming right behind you, and he don't see you. These are stories that do happen. They're tragic stories. So, and you hear about it a lot where they say, I didn't see a car in front of me. The driver says, I didn't see the road was coming to an end. I wanted to take my life and my family's life. There's a lot of negative energy that can oppress a person's mind afterwards. So you have to be very careful and tread lightly, but yet do the job, because I think paranormal investigation is fascinating, because we're teaching other people that this is real.
Yeah.
And you're doing a great job out there. Give me some of the names also, like more team members that you work with, and other places that you plan on going to.
My team members, well, most of my haunted paranormal guys, I'm not in contact with them more, so I'd rather keep them out. My touring paranormal guys, we had Rob Jacobs, but he ended up moving to South Carolina. Toledo, unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. Ed Rodriguez, which joined me in Fears. We had Michelle and Terry, Rob's wife. So that was my Taunton guys. And then my Fears guys, we had myself, Carl Ways. We had Ed, Doug, Patrina, and we had Bill. And unfortunately, like I said, when the group faded away, they all did this thing. And with me getting back into it now, like I said, unfortunately passing my buddy Carl, we were talking about, like, listen, I want to do this. I want to get back and do a YouTube show focusing on, bringing things in Rowland, things in Massachusetts, so that when people come and visit us, hey, I want to check that place out. Hey, listen, you go check it out. What happens here? If you're allowed to go there, if you're not allowed to go there, get the scoop for these people, So right now, like, that's my goal right now, to do this show. And even though my friend Carl passed, that I still want to do this and bring Fears back. I still got some old Fear members that's giving me the support and still working out with each other. As to places I still want to check out, if I get back in good financial standings, I love to go to Alcatraz. Like I said, I love jails. So Alcatraz, Eastern State, Waverly Hills.
Very scary. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so some of the big places I want to check out. And for places around here, we still got some places that most of the places I've been to, Lizzie Borton's house, Slater Mill. And so I'm just going to continue to check out, looking up places online and find out places around here. Salem, Massachusetts, they got a lot of haunted history, see a lot of haunted buildings.
Most definitely.
So that's a great place to go. It's just this whole area. And then, like I said, the Bridgewater Triangle, which includes a couple of towns. You got Rehoboth, you got Freetown. Freetown, you got a place called the Forest, Freetown Lake Town Forest. And supposedly we got creatures called pudgy wudgies. They're little gold pudgy wudgies.
Pudgy wudgies?
Pudgy wudgies.
So have you ever heard of that?
Pudgy wudgies. Pudgy wudgies. They're little creatures like gnomes and stuff.
No.
And they got,
okay, so that's like another word for gnomes.
Yeah. So And what's funny is that I think towards the entrance of the park, there's actually a sign that says "Beware Pachiwachi Crossing."
Wow.
So the thing is that these things, they control your mind. They get you to do things that if you mess with them, they'll
Yeah.
brainwash you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a ledge called Devil's Ledge, I think, in that area, and a lot of suicides taking place there. And supposedly, yes, supposedly it's for these creatures that they brainwash you to get you to jump off this ledge. So that's a big haunting over there. So that's one of the biggest things we have there. Another good spot is called the Hockomock Swamp. In Hockomock Swamp area, we supposedly got a lot of things: ghosts, UFOs, aliens, Bigfoots, and I think that's the center of this triangle. So most of the activities happen there, and there's also creatures. We got like weird animals. We got giant snakes there, size of anacondas, which is not common in this area. People have witnessed these giant snakes in the swamp. They also see giant turtles the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. So these things have been seen there. Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing.
And then
I want to just quickly say hello to Lena and Medium Sky Ray. She said, right on, Phil. I guess the last thing that you were saying, because they see our energy that may match theirs, how we make control all their experiences. That's true. Thank you so much, Medium Ray, for joining us in there.
Oh, definitely. Now, the turtle the size of a car. I have use for that turtle. I can feed some people to that turtle on my bucket list. Now, where do I find that turtle?
Feed the kid? I'm kidding.
No, wait, I think I'm better off with the anaconda. No trace. No trace of anybody.
I would run.
We have to go there. But you know what's interesting? What you're saying reminds me of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much activity. You know, I've never been there, but I see it on television. It's who's that singer that's been there, Joel? What's her name?
Is it Demi Lovato?
Yeah, she's been there. Yeah, it's fascinating how much energy is over there.
Yeah. Oh, you can feel it.
Yeah, just watching it on television.
Yeah. Crazy.
So different parts of the earth, I guess, act as a magnetic field towards the supernatural. It's a mind blower, right?
Yeah, and that's what it said about the triangle. Like that energy, for whatever reason, the center, which is a swamp, it's just this weird energy that attracts all these things. You know, and it's tracking all these ghosts and spaceships and Bigfoots and stuff. What's causing it? Why is that center the main event of all the stuff that's been happening? You know, and that's definitely my primary source to get out there one day. I've been to areas around there. Like I said, I've been to the Hitchhiker Guy. I've been to the Rehoboth Cemetery, Anawan Rock, Columbine School, and Shat Factory. A couple of great haunted spots around it, but I never really been to the swamp itself. That's something I want to definitely check out one day. Find out why is this happening? Why is this the center of all things paranormal? So this is really a hot spot for us. Definitely. Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty intense place. That's for sure.
What about the SLS camera? Do you use that?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do. I do, because it produces great results right away. You know, I also had another camera that I forgot I used. It's a special camera that it's not heat signature. It's like something that is able to produce I forget the name of it. I have it somewhere. But it's a great camera that it does it in the dark, and you see these weird lights that we picked up. You know, in one of the houses that I used it. I caught some weird shapes and with it or something. But I forget. If I find out, I'll let you guys know. But
Yeah, the SL I personally like the SLS, but a lot of people are iffy about it. I like it. So.
Well, you know what it is too. If a spirit's going to react or act in such a way, it can use anything: your television, your phone,
Of course.
your computer, your car. It can make the lights go on and off, and we've seen that happen. And it's a spirit can use almost anything. You notice, like the batteries go dead on equipment in an active location.
It's the intention, and we say that all the time, right? Well, we are definitely coming to the end of the show. Again, this show went by really, really fast. They always do, right, Phil?
Yeah, but if you had any words as a paranormal investigator to tell the world about what you experienced in one sentence, give us like something intriguing that we could leave the show with.
oh my gosh, just go out there. If you're an investigator, don't provoke. Just believe. And don't. If you're a thrill seeker, don't mess around because these things are real. You could be followed. You'll be attacked. If it's demonic, it could attack you. Don't use Ouija boards because Ouija boards bring these things in and they pretend to be relatives and they trick us to get us to let them in. So definitely don't use Ouija boards. But just what we do, just leave the stuff to us. Leave us the professionals to bring you the stuff, to prove that the stuff exists. You may have your feelings on it, and if you want to get into it, there's teams out there. Join up with a team. And like with my goal is, like I said, my purpose of bringing this show is to bring this stuff to you and bring and share my adventures with these people and whoever watches and stuff like that. So it's a great time. It's extreme. And just don't mess around because you can be attached, you can be attacked. So just
very dangerous. You have to really know what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, it can be. I always roll my eyes when I go to a store and I see a Ouija board for sale, like Walmart or Target and the toy stores. And I'm like, don't you realize that thing can trigger things off? Again, it's just a board, but it's not just the board because when you get that board, you have intent. When you have intent, that whatever's around you knows you're trying to open a door to the other side. And I can tell the listener, yeah, Ouija boards can be very, very dangerous, very dangerous. And unfortunately, some people that I knew and grew up with are no longer around. If the spirit makes a threat, you better be careful because it can attack, so you have to tread the waters delicately, and I would go with an investigator too.
Yeah, and like John said, you never know who you're talking to. You never know.
That is a fact. All right, Julie, it's 9:00. Hey, to our guest, thank you so much. This has been fun, fast show. And everyone take a look at the night skies because you never know what you're going to capture.
Very, very true. We have to have a special thank you to Coronation for fully sponsoring the show from day one. We love them. Thank you. Please join us next week on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. And also, remember, we're on Roku streaming live from your TV. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, John, for coming on tonight. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. Everyone be safe. Thank you for listening to Horsefly Chronicles Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.